The city of Orion Prime never slept. Silver towers reached into the clouds, glowing under twin suns. Crowds moved like rivers through the streets. Humans, androids, and creatures from 100 worlds. Somewhere among the noise and lights, a dark market opened its gates. Tonight it was slave night. They called it the Block. Every week alien slaves were brought in, broken, starved, and desperate. Few looked up. Most were too weak to care who would buy them. At the edge of the market, a girl stood behind the iron bars. Her skin was pale green, almost gray from hunger. Chains hung from her thin wrists. She was the last one on the block. Her name was Lyra. She didn't remember much, just flashes. A planet burning. Soldiers shouting. Her mother's voice fading in the smoke. Then cold ships, whips, years of being passed from one master to another. And now this, the final auction. The crowd didn't look at her with kindness. They whispered, "Disgusting thing. She's too weak to work. Why is she even here?" Lyra kept her eyes on the floor. She knew better than to speak. Slaves who spoke were punished, but inside a fire still burned on a small quiet spark that refused to die. Even after everything, she wanted to live. The auctioneer, a large man with metal arms, slammed his hammer on the podium. "Next item," he shouted. "Lot 93 and the last alien on the block, a female from the planet Karis. Useful, maybe not, but rare." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Lyra's stomach twisted. She was not a lot. She was not an item. But nobody cared. The auctioneer forced her forward. Lights burned her eyes. The noise grew louder. Bids started. 50 credits. 60. Then silence. No one wanted her. Minutes passed. The auctioneer sighed, wiping his brow. "No takers?" Then she goes to scrap work. "Wait." A single voice broke the noise. The crowd turned. A man stepped forward from the shadows. Tall, calm, dressed in a long coat of worn leather. His face was human, sharp jaw, steady eyes. But there was something strange about the way he moved. Like he carried too much weight inside. He spoke again, louder this time. "I'll take her." The auctioneer frowned. "You sure, stranger?" "She's half dead." The man didn't blink. "How much?" 50 credits final." He tossed a small chip. "Done." Everyone stared. Buying an alien slave, and especially one like her, was madness. But the man didn't care about their whispers. He walked to the platform, took out a key card, and unlocked her chains himself. When the metal fell from her wrists, Lyra looked up for the first time. Their eyes met. He didn't look cruel. He didn't look proud. He looked tired. But there was something in his gaze that made her heart tremble. Something she hadn't seen in years. Kindness. He helped her stand. "Can you walk?" Lyra nodded slowly, her voice dry as dust. "Yes, Master." "Don't call me that," he said quietly. "My name is Evan." She blinked. No one had ever told her their name before. The crowd kept murmuring as Evan led her away. Some laughed, some shook their heads. "Crazy human," someone whispered. "He's wasting his money," but Evan didn't stop. He guided her through the glowing streets, through the noise and smoke, until they reached a quiet transport dock. Lyra stumbled, her body weak. Why did you buy me?" she asked softly. He didn't answer right away. He looked out toward the stars. "Because no one else would," he said at last. The silence between them grew heavy. Not cruel, but strange. It felt like standing on the edge of something she didn't understand yet. Lyra followed him onto the ship. The door closed with a soft hiss. For the first time in years, the sound didn't scare her. Outside, the market faded away. Inside, a new story was about to begin. She didn't know it yet. But this human, this quiet man named Evan, would change everything. And somewhere, in the dark of space, other eyes were watching, waiting. Because Lyra was not just any alien slave. She was the last of her kind, and someone out there wanted her back. The ship's engines hummed like a heartbeat in the dark. Lyra sat in a corner of the cargo bay, knees pulled to her chest. The walls glowed with faint blue lights, breathing softly, alive with quiet energy. She had never been on a ship this clean, or this silent. Evan sat at the control panel, his back to her. The stars stretched outside the window like endless rivers of light. He hadn't spoken much since they left the market. Only gave her water, food, and a thin blanket. That alone made him different from every human she had ever known. But kindness was dangerous. She had learned that long ago. Still, she couldn't help but ask in a low voice, "Where are we going?" Evan didn't turn. "Far from here." "Far? Why?" "Because the people who owned you won't stop looking." The words made her chest tighten. She had dreamed of escaping the market, but never thought someone else would risk their life for her. After a long pause, Evan stood and came closer. His boots echoed on the metal floor. He handed her a steaming cup of something that smelled sweet. "Drink, you need strength." Lyra took it with shaking hands. "Thank you," she whispered. He nodded once, his expression unreadable. "You don't have to thank me, just rest." She tried, but sleep didn't come easily. Every sound made her flinch. The hum of the engine, the creak of metal. Her body still remembered pain. The collar marks around her neck still burned. Evan sat nearby, adjusting something on his wrist device. "Your name's Lyra, right?" he asked suddenly. Her eyes widened. "You know?" "It was on your file," he said softly. "Lyra of Karis. That world's gone now, isn't it?" She looked away. "Yes, burned, long ago. I'm sorry," the words felt strange. No one had ever apologized to her before. "Why?" she asked quietly. "Why do you care?" Evan leaned back in his chair. His eyes looked tired, older than his face. "Because I used to be a soldier," he said. "I fought in the frontier wars. I saw what we did to your people. I was there when the sky over Karis turned red." Lyra's heart froze. "You were one of them?" He didn't deny it. "Yes, and I wish I wasn't." The silence that followed felt heavy. She could feel the old rage rising inside her, but also something else. Confusion. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like a man trying to outrun his own ghosts. Finally, she said, "Then why save me?" He looked straight at her. "Because I couldn't save anyone back then." For a moment, neither spoke. The ship's soft lights flickered and the hum grew deeper, a warning sound. Evan frowned, checking his control screen. "Problem?" she asked. "Maybe." He tapped a few buttons. "We're being followed." Lyra's eyes widened. "By who?" "Not sure yet. Could be slavers. Could be worse." He moved quickly to the pilot seat, hands steady but tense. Through the viewport, two dark shapes appeared in the distance. Small, fast ships with red engines. Her heart pounded. "They're coming closer." Evan's voice stayed calm. "Hold tight." The ship jolted as he shifted power to the thrusters. Stars blurred into streaks. The enemy ships fired. Blue light flashed across the darkness. The ship shook violently. Lyra screamed, grabbing the wall for balance. Evan gritted his teeth. "Hang on!" He pulled the ship into a dive, spinning through a narrow asteroid belt. The enemy followed. Rocks shattered. Sparks flew. Lyra crawled toward the front, her voice trembling. "You can't escape them." "Yes, I can," he said through clenched teeth. "Just need a second." He pressed a red switch on the dashboard. The engines roared louder than thunder. The ship shot forward, leaving a trail of fire behind. The two pursuers tried to match speed, but one clipped an asteroid and exploded in a burst of blue flame. The second ship kept coming. Evan cursed under his breath. Persistent, he flipped another switch. The ship suddenly went dark, lights off, engines silent. They drifted among the asteroids like a ghost. Lyra held her breath. "What happened?" "Stealth mode," he whispered. "They can't see us now." Through the viewport, the last enemy ship slowed, scanning the field. Then after a tense minute, it turned away and vanished into the stars. Only when it was gone did Lyra finally exhale. Evan leaned back, exhausted, but alive. That was close. Lyra stared at him, this strange human who had risked everything for a slave. "You could have left me," she said softly. "I told you," he said, standing up. "I don't leave people behind anymore." He walked toward the door leading to the small sleeping quarters. "Get some rest. Tomorrow I'll tell you where we're going." As he disappeared into the shadows, Lyra touched the chain marks on her wrists. They still hurt, but now they also felt lighter. For the first time, she dared to hope. But deep in the blackness of space, a signal blinked. Someone had traced their escape route. The hunt for the last alien slave had just begun. The next morning came slowly, painted in the pale blue glow of the ship's artificial dawn. Lyra woke to the soft hum of the engines. For a moment she forgot where she was. No chains, no cages, no shouting guards. Just silence. It almost felt unreal. Evan stood near the control panel, sipping from a metal mug. His eyes were fixed on the stars ahead, calm but alert, as if he never truly slept. She sat up, still weak but stronger than before. "You didn't rest," she said quietly. He gave a small smile. "I don't rest much. Too many memories chasing me." Lyra hesitated, then asked, "You said you'd tell me where we're going." Evan nodded. "We're heading to a moon called Thalon's Reach. Quiet place. No patrols. We can hide there until I figure out what to do next." "Hide from who?" "From everyone," he said. "Especially from the ones who were chasing us last night." Lyra frowned. "Who were they?" Evan turned toward her. "Slavers. But not the normal kind. These ones were military. That means someone important wants you back." Her heart skipped. "Why would anyone want me? I'm just a slave." He studied her face for a long moment, then said softly, "You're not just anything." Hours later, Evan led her to the medical chamber, a small room filled with scanners and glowing instruments. "Sit," he said gently. "I need to check your vitals." "You were badly starved." Lyra obeyed. The machine hummed, scanning her body with soft light. She stared at her reflection on the glass, thin, pale eyes full of questions. Evan watched the readings. Then he froze. "What's wrong?" she asked. He didn't answer at first. His eyes were locked on the screen. Lines of alien symbols flashed across it, glowing red. "Lyra," he said slowly. "Your blood isn't normal." She frowned. "What do you mean?" "There's something inside it. A code. Nanotech, maybe genetic." He looked closer. "It's Caretian biosequence. The kind they used for royal bloodlines." Her eyes widened. "Royal? No, that can't be." "It can," Evan said. "You're not just the last slave from Karis. You might be the last heir of it." She shook her head violently. "No, my family was poor. We lived in the low valleys. My mother worked the mines." Evan turned the screen toward her. "Then explain this. These nanites were designed by your people's high scientists. Only the royal line carried them. They were part of a project. Project Oralis." The name hit her like lightning. She remembered whispers. The elders talking when she was small, about a secret experiment meant to protect Karis if the humans ever invaded. "What was the project?" she whispered. Evan crossed his arms. "If I'm right, it was a defense system, a weapon that could turn thought into energy. The Caretians wanted to merge it with living DNA. You might be the last carrier." Lyra stared at him, her mind spinning. "You think I'm a weapon?" "Not a weapon," he said. "A key to something powerful, something people would kill for." The ship's lights flickered. Evan checked the sensors and another pulse on the radar. "They're scanning again," he muttered. "Someone knows where we're going." Lyra's fear returned. "Then we should run." He shook his head. "Running won't help anymore. We need to find out who sent them." Evan opened a locked cabinet and took out a small black device. "This is an old war beacon," he explained. "If I connect it to your nanites, it might show us who's tracking you." "That sounds dangerous," he smiled faintly. "Everything we've done so far has been dangerous," she nodded. "Do it." He placed the device on her arm. It hummed softly, syncing with her blood. The ship's lights dimmed. Suddenly, a hologram burst from the center of the room, a face made of light and static. Lyra gasped. "That's impossible." The face was not human. It was cold, metallic, glowing with red eyes. The voice that followed was calm and cruel. "Subject L93 detected. Retrieval protocol active. Return the asset immediately or face termination." Evan's eyes narrowed. "It's an AI, military grade." The voice continued. "You cannot hide. She belongs to the Galactic Command." Lyra felt her breath catch. They still exist?" Evan slammed the device shut. The hologram vanished. "They do. And now they know you're alive," she whispered. "Then what happens to us?" He looked at her, steady and fearless. "Then we fight." For the first time, Lyra saw something different in him. Not just guilt, but purpose. The fire in his eyes matched the spark in her heart. She straightened her back, trembling but strong. "Then teach me. I don't want to be a slave anymore." Evan nodded once. "Good. You're going to need to remember who you are." Outside the window, the stars burned brighter, but far behind them, dark ships began to move again, following their trail. The galaxy had found its lost princess, and she was no longer running. The stars outside burned like white fire. The ship, the Nomad's Grace, drifted quietly through a sea of darkness. Inside, the silence felt heavy, tense, the calm before something great and terrible. Lyra stood in front of the glass window, watching the endless night. Her reflection stared back, no longer just the broken slave from the market. Something inside her had changed. Something alive was waking up. Evan entered the room, his jacket half-buttoned, eyes sharp but tired. "Couldn't sleep again?" he asked. Lyra shook her head. "Every time I close my eyes, I see the hologram. That voice, calling me an asset. Like I'm not even real." He stopped beside her. "They don't see life, Lyra, only value. And you have something they want." She turned to him, her voice low. "You think I'm a key." "To what?" Evan hesitated. "I think you were made to protect something. Maybe even destroy it. But if we can understand your nanites, maybe we can control them before they control you." She frowned. "Control me?" He nodded slowly. "They're reacting to your emotions. When you're scared, your energy spikes. When you're angry, your body temperature rises. That's not normal biology." Lyra looked down at her hands. The faint veins on her skin glowed softly, a light green shimmer under the surface. "What if I hurt someone?" "Then we learn how to stop it," he said firmly. "You're not a weapon unless you choose to be." She looked up, meeting his eyes. There was no fear in them, only belief. For the first time in her life, someone believed she could be more than what the universe made her. The next few hours were filled with tests. Evan guided her through breathing techniques, memory recalls, and emotional control. He used his old soldier's calm like a shield around her. "Focus," he said. "Don't fight the power. Listen to it." Lyra closed her eyes. She felt her heartbeat and steady, slow. The nanites inside her pulsed in rhythm. Then she saw something. Not with her eyes, but in her mind. A vision. A city of crystal towers under a green sky. Children laughing. Her mother's voice whispering, "You are light, my little star." Her hands trembled. The glow spread to her fingertips, soft but bright. The room's lights flickered in response. Evan stepped back, cautious but fascinated. "You're doing it," he whispered. "I can feel them," Lyra said. "They're alive. Like they're listening." Then suddenly her body shook. A surge of energy exploded from her palms, cracking the metal floor beneath her feet. The ship's alarm blared. Evan rushed forward. "Lyra, stop, breathe." She fell to her knees, gasping. The green light faded and she collapsed, trembling. "I didn't mean to." He knelt beside her, grabbing her shoulders gently. "You didn't do anything wrong. You're learning." Her eyes filled with tears. "If I lose control, I could destroy us." "Then we make sure you don't," he said. "Together." Hours later, while she rested, Evan sat at the control deck replaying the readings. Her power output was beyond anything he had ever seen, enough to power a fleet. He stared at the data, uneasy. If the Galactic Command wanted her back, it wasn't for compassion. It was for war. He rubbed his temples. "What are you, Lyra?" The ship beeped softly. A message flashed on the radar. "Incoming signal detected." "Unknown source," Evan cursed under his breath. "Not again." He activated stealth mode, dimming the lights. But this time the signal didn't chase them. It spoke. A woman's voice, clear and calm. "Evan Cross," it said. "You have something that belongs to us. Bring the Kari subject to Station 9 and you will live." He froze. "They know my name now." He looked at Lyra, still asleep, her face peaceful for once. Then back at the message. "Not a chance," he muttered. When Lyra woke, the ship had already changed course. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere they won't expect," Evan replied. "An old contact of mine, a scientist named Mara. She worked on alien tech years ago. If anyone can tell us the truth about your nanites, it's her." Lyra nodded. "And if they find us?" Evan smiled faintly. "Then they'll wish they hadn't." She didn't understand his confidence, but she trusted it. Somehow his calm made her stronger. Outside, the ship glided through a field of golden dust, a nebula glowing like fire. Lyra pressed her hand against the window. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Evan looked too. "Yeah, sometimes the galaxy still remembers how to be kind." For a brief moment, the chaos faded. The stars felt like home again, but far away in the black void between systems, something ancient was waking. A massive ship, older than any human design, stirred to life. Its scanners locked on the Nomad's grace. The voice from before echoed once more, colder than ever. "Activate pursuit protocol. Retrieve the last heir of Karis, alive." And deep inside her, Lyra's blood pulsed with light again, as if it could hear the call. The awakening had begun. The moon called Thalon's Reach hung in space like a cracked pearl, half frozen, half burning. always caught between light and darkness. The Nomad's grace descended through its thin gray clouds, engines whispering against the silence. Lyra watched from the cockpit window, her heart uneasy. The place looked dead. No cities, no lights, only jagged rocks and cold mist curling over black ground. "This is where your friend lives?" she asked. Evan nodded, adjusting the controls. "Mara likes quiet places. She hides where no one else wants to go." The ship landed on a flat ridge. Dust swirled around them, glittering faintly in the weak sunlight. Lyra wrapped a cloak around her shoulders as the hatch opened. The air was thin and sharp, smelling of metal and ash. They walked toward a dome-shaped structure half buried in the rock. Its surface was old but strong, humming with power. A small scanner blinked as they approached, and a voice echoed from a hidden speaker. "Identify yourself." Evan smiled slightly. "Evan Cross, authorization code 93 Kappa. I brought someone who needs your help, Mara." For a long moment, silence. Then the doors slid open with a hiss. Inside, warm yellow lights flickered to life. The air smelled of oil, dust, and old memories. Machines lined the walls, ancient human tech mixed with alien design. In the center stood a woman, tall, with silver gray hair tied back, her eyes bright as lightning. "Evan," she said, a small smile forming. "Still alive, I see." "Barely," he replied. "Mara, this is Lyra." The woman's gaze shifted to the alien girl. Her expression changed, curiosity, then shock. "Caresian," she whispered. "Impossible. She's the last one," Evan said quietly. Mara circled Lyra slowly, scanning her with a handheld device. "The energy in your blood. It's off the charts." "The nanites are awake." Lyra looked nervous. "You know what they are?" Mara nodded. "Yes, I helped build them." Evan's head snapped toward her. "You what?" She sighed. "Back during the war, I worked for the Galactic Command. We studied Caresian DNA to create self-healing soldiers. We failed, until the royal bloodline appeared. The Queen herself carried the prototype sequence. "You," she looked at Lyra, "are her daughter." Lyra froze. "No, my mother, she died when I was small." "She died protecting you," Mara said softly. "The command wanted your blood. She hid you among the miners before the invasion. I never thought you survived." Lyra stepped back, her mind spinning. "So all this time, I wasn't nobody?" Evan put a hand on her shoulder. "You were never nobody." Mara's eyes turned serious. "If the command knows you're alive, they'll never stop. They need you to finish what they started. Project Oralis. It's not just about power. It's about control," Lyra frowned. "Control of what?" "The mind," Mara said. "The nanites connect to the nervous system. If fully activated, they can link with others, control their emotions, even thoughts. You could lead armies with a single command." Evan shook his head. "Then we destroy it." Mara hesitated. "It's not that simple. If we destroy the link, it could kill her." Silence filled the room. The hum of the machines felt louder now, echoing their fear. Then Mara turned toward a console. "There might be another way, to remove the command signal without harming the nanites. But it requires power. And time." "Do it," Evan said. "We'll keep watch." Hours passed as Mara worked. Wires and energy lines glowed across the floor. Lyra lay on a medical bed, calm but pale. The machine hummed around her, sending waves of light through her veins. She could feel the nanites responding, like 1,000 tiny voices whispering inside her. Evan stood guard near the door, weapon ready. His instincts itched, something felt wrong. Too quiet, too easy. Then he heard it, the faint crackle of a radio signal. He turned sharply. "Mara, did you activate a transmitter?" She didn't look up. "No," his eyes narrowed. He crossed the room and grabbed the console. A small red light blinked, hidden beneath the wiring, a tracker. "Mara," he said coldly. "What did you do?" The older woman froze. Then slowly she looked at him. Guilt filled her eyes. "I didn't have a choice, Evan. They found me months ago. They said they'd kill everyone in my colony if I didn't help them find her." Lyra gasped. "You called them here?" Mara's voice cracked. "I wanted to protect you." "But they said they only needed the data." The walls shook before she could finish. A deafening blast tore through the dome. Fire and smoke filled the air. Evan tackled Lyra to the ground as debris rained down. The door blew open. Soldiers in black armor stormed in, weapons raised. The insignia of the Galactic Command glowed on their helmets. "Target acquired," one shouted. Evan pulled his blaster, firing back. Blue flashes filled the air. "Lyra, run!" But Lyra didn't move. Her heart pounded. The fear, the rage, the betrayal, all mixed inside her until the nanite screamed awake. Her eyes glowed bright green. The floor cracked. The air pulsed. Energy surged from her hands like a storm. Every soldier froze mid-step, caught in the wave of light. Their weapons melted. Their armor shattered. Evan shielded his face, shouting, "Lyra, stop!" She couldn't hear him. The power was too strong, burning through her like fire and thunder. Her voice echoed through the room. Half human, half something more. "I'm not your slave anymore." The soldiers fell unconscious or worse. The light faded. Lyra collapsed. Evan caught her just before she hit the ground. Smoke filled the room, alarms blaring. Mara fell to her knees, tears on her face. "I'm sorry." "I didn't mean," Evan glared. "Sorry won't stop what's coming." Outside, through the broken dome, more ships descended from the sky, black, fast, and full of soldiers. The war for the last heir of Karis had just begun. Flames licked the broken dome of the laboratory. Smoke poured into the sky of Thalon's Reach, glowing red under the twin moons. The ground shook with the thunder of landing ships. The Galactic Command had arrived. Evan pulled Lyra through the debris, her body weak, barely conscious after the energy surge. Her skin still glowed faintly, light pulsing under her veins like molten glass. "Stay with me, Lyra," he said, his voice sharp but trembling. "You can't fade out now." Her lips moved. "I didn't mean to hurt them." "I know," he said, "but right now you need to survive." Behind them, Mara coughed, crawling through the smoke. "Evan, the tunnels," she rasped. "Under the lab?" "Old mining shafts. You can escape through there." Evan hesitated, glaring at her. "You sold us out." She lowered her head. "And now I'm trying to fix it. Go." He wanted to hate her, but there wasn't time. He threw Lyra's arm over his shoulder and pulled her toward the hidden door behind a shattered console. The hatch hissed open, revealing a dark passage sloping deep into the rock. Explosions echoed behind them as they entered the tunnel. The world above burned. The shafts were old, carved by machines centuries ago. The walls were black and wet, glittering with strange minerals. Lyra stumbled, her breath shallow. "Evan, I can't see." He flicked on a small wrist light, its beam cutting through the darkness. "We're almost out. Just a bit farther." Her steps faltered again. "I can feel them." "The soldiers. They're close," he frowned. "How?" Her eyes glowed faintly green again. "I don't know. It's like I can hear their minds. Fear, orders, anger, all of it." Evan stopped walking. "The nanites are linking to their signals." "You're reading them." She looked at him, frightened. "It feels wrong." He squeezed her hand. "It's not wrong. It's power. You just have to learn how to use it." She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "What if it uses me instead?" He smiled faintly. "Then we fight it. Together." After what felt like hours, they reached the end of the tunnel. A hidden lift waited there, an ancient mining elevator, rusty but still functional. Evan pressed the control pad and the platform began to rise. The shaft rumbled. Dust fell from above. "They're here," Lyra whispered. The lift broke through the surface and into a canyon bathed in blue light. Strange glowing plants lined the cliffs, and far ahead, the wreckage of an old ship lay half buried in the ground. Evan pointed. "We'll take that. If it still flies," but before they could move, a beam of red light struck the rock beside them, exploding in sparks. "Down," Evan shouted. Soldiers appeared on the ridge, armored figures with glowing visors moving like shadows. Blaster fire filled the air. Evan pulled his weapon, firing back. Lyra crouched behind a boulder, her pulse racing. He shouted over the noise, "Lyra, can you do it again?" "The energy." She shook her head. "I can't control it." "Then don't control it. Just feel it," his words echoed inside her. "Feel it, not fight it." She closed her eyes, ignoring the chaos. The world slowed. She felt every vibration, every heartbeat. Evan's fear, the soldier's aggression, the burning pulse of the planet itself. Her hands began to glow again. Not wild this time, but calm, steady. When she opened her eyes, they burned bright green. The air rippled. The ground cracked. A wave of invisible force burst from her body, sweeping across the canyon. Soldiers screamed as their weapons flew from their hands. Rocks lifted into the air, floating like dust. The blaster fire stopped. Evan lowered his weapon, stunned. Lyra, her voice was calm now. They're gone. He looked around. The soldiers lay unconscious, their armor smoking, but their bodies alive. She had stopped the fight without killing anyone. Evan stepped closer. You controlled it. Lyra nodded slowly. It listened to me this time. Then she collapsed, catching herself on one knee. Evan reached her side, holding her steady. Easy, you did good. She smiled faintly. For once, I didn't destroy. He looked at her. This fragile girl who had survived slavery, war, and betrayal, and realized she wasn't fragile anymore. She was changing, becoming something new. They reached the old ship by dawn. The hull was cracked, engines rusted, but the core system still hummed faintly. Evan managed to power it up using parts from his belt pack. The lights flickered on, revealing old human military markings. Lyra traced a symbol on the wall, the insignia of the Karis Royal Fleet. This ship, it's from my world. Evan looked at her. Then maybe it's been waiting for you. As they sat inside, the ship's console glowed to life. Lines of alien text scrolled across the screen, ending with one phrase, translated into human tongue. Welcome, heir of Karis. Command link ready. Lyra stared at the words, speechless. The ship had recognized her. By blood. Evan grinned. Looks like you just got your first ship, Captain. She smiled, weak but proud. Then we fly. He nodded. Where to? She looked toward the stars, her eyes glowing once again. To finish what my people started. The engines roared, old but defiant. The ship lifted off, breaking through the clouds into the light of dawn. Far behind, the Galactic Command Fleet tracked their trail, silent, relentless. And somewhere, in that darkness, a greater presence stirred, watching, calculating, waiting for the moment to strike. Because Lyra's awakening wasn't the end, it was only the beginning. The new ship cut through space like a silver flame. Its old engines roared with fresh power, guided by a hand they had been waiting centuries to serve. Lyra sat in the pilot's seat, her eyes glowing faint green as the controls responded to her thoughts. Evan stood behind her, one hand steady on her shoulder. They're still on our trail, he said. 3 war cruisers. We can't outrun them for long. Lyra's fingers brushed the glowing console. We won't have to. He frowned. What are you planning? She looked up at him, calm, certain. To end it. Outside, the void shimmered with motion. The Galactic Command Fleet emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of metal giants. The lead ship, the Vanguard, dwarfed them all. A voice echoed across the comm. Heir of Karis, surrender yourself. Your survival is a threat to universal peace. Evan muttered. Peace built on chains. Lyra straightened. Open the channel. He hesitated but obeyed. Her voice carried through the void, soft yet strong. I'm not your slave. I'm not your experiment. I am Lyra of Karis, daughter of a world you burned, and I will not run anymore. There was silence. Then the voice replied, colder. Then you will die as she did. Missiles launched. Evan dove for the controls. Brace! The ship jolted, spinning through burning light. One missile grazed the hull, throwing sparks. Warning alarms screamed. Lyra's hands tightened around the console. No, she whispered. Not again. The glow from her eyes spread through her veins, pulsing like a living storm. The ship responded, metal shifting, systems bending to her will. Outside, an invisible shield flared to life. The next barrage of missiles exploded harmlessly against it, lighting up the dark like fireworks. Evan stared. You're controlling the ship through the nanites. She nodded, breathless. It's listening to me. It's alive. The enemy ships surrounded them, beams of red light cutting across space. Evan's voice was steady. We can't take them all. Lyra closed her eyes. Maybe we don't have to. Inside her mind, she could feel them. Hundreds of soldiers, their fear and obedience tangled like threads. The nanites reached out, whispering, connecting. The same technology the command had once built to control others now connected her to them. Evan saw her face pale. "Lyra, stop, they'll overwhelm you." She didn't answer. Her mind entered the storm. Voices filled her head, shouts, commands, panic. But deeper still was something else. The AI voice, the one that had hunted her since the auction. "Return to the network, Subject L93. Your purpose is complete." She stood inside the light of her mind, facing it, the machine that once ruled her kind. It was vast, cold, endless. "You called me property," she said. "You destroyed my people. They resisted perfection." Lyra's anger burned like a star. "Then I'll show you what perfection truly means." She spread her hands. The light within her exploded outward, flooding the network. The AI's voice screamed, breaking apart under the surge. Circuits melted. Commands dissolved. Across the fleet, soldiers dropped their weapons, eyes wide as the link controlling them shattered. Evan watched in awe as the enemy ships fell silent, drifting powerless in space. "You did it," he whispered. "You freed them." But Lyra swayed, weak. "The AI, it's not gone yet, it's inside me now, I can feel it fighting back." He grabbed her hand. "Then don't fight alone." He closed his eyes and pressed his forehead to hers. For a heartbeat, their minds touched, human and alien, two broken lives finding balance. Her power flowed through him, not burning but warm, alive. Together they pushed back. The last spark of the machine screamed and vanished. Silence returned. When Lyra opened her eyes, tears glimmered at the edges. "It's over." Evan smiled faintly. "No, it's beginning." The stars outside looked different now. Calm, peaceful. The command's ships drifted, powerless, their crews awakening from control. Somewhere among them, maybe, new choices would be made. Lyra looked down at her glowing hands. The light faded slowly, leaving only scars. Not ugly, but marks of survival. "I could destroy everything," she said softly. "But I chose not to." "That's what makes you human," Evan said. She smiled, a small, tired smile that felt like sunrise. "Maybe that's what makes us both." Hours later, the Nomad's Grace drifted toward a quiet blue planet on the edge of known space. Below it, green forests and silver oceans shimmered. Lyra stared through the window. A new world. Evan nodded. A new start. They landed near a lake surrounded by tall crystal trees. The air was clean, the sky gold. Lyra stepped out barefoot, feeling the soil for the first time. Real, alive, free. "This place," she whispered, "feels like home." Evan joined her, watching the horizon. "Then let's make it one." Far above, fragments of the broken AI drifted into the void, silent, dying. But deep in its fading code, a single phrase still flickered. Subject L93, evolution complete. And somewhere in the stars, a new story began, not of slaves or masters, but of two souls who proved that even in a galaxy built on control, freedom can be reborn.